Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your match preview for Aston Villa versus Manchester United in the Premier League. And a really big game coming up for United. And a very important one in terms of the race for the Champions League qualifications, you would have to say. In relation to, where both teams are on the table, there's not an awful lot in the difference at the moment. Obviously, Villa sit in 4th on 46 points, and United are 8 points behind in 6th place. But yeah, please smash a like on the video, guys. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're going to be going through some of the talking points. Erik ten Hag did have his pre-match press conference today, so we'll talk about some of the talking points there. I'm going to be going through my starting 11, score predictions, all that good stuff as well. So, as always, smash a like on the video, get your comments in, and we'll go down through them as usual. But let's jump straight into it. And obviously, look, huge game coming up on the weekend for United, and one that, I won't say it's essential that 3 points is needed here, but I think avoiding defeat is essential more than anything else. I think that's what's most important. I think if we can avoid defeat, it will be a positive result for us. Obviously, away from home, Villa are a little bit hot and cold, but we will get on to them in a minute. Now, we do know some of the talking points in relation to the build-up. I suppose the main one is around Lisandro Martinez being out. And Erik ten Hag was asked about it today, in relation to centre-back cover now that he is, out injured. And he was asked about the options that he has. He says, we have options for how to deal with that position. We have good centre-halves in our squad. The others are also available. Luke can play there also. And I'm quite confident that we keep this process going and that others can fulfill that position and contribute to playing at high levels. Who plays that centre-back now? That's the question. Look, it's obviously more than likely going to be Varane that's going to be one of the centre-backs. But we do have a decision to make on whether the other centre-back is going to be Harry Maguire or whether you move maybe Luke Shaw from left-back into that centre-back role. Now, look, we do see, or we have seen Luke Shaw play in that position before and play there quite comfortably, it has to be said. I think for the way Erik ten Hag likes to play with Manchester United, out from the back, progressive football, draw players in, play it around them, so on and so forth. Luke Shaw kind of fits the bill quite comfortably when it comes to that kind of centre-back role. But the one issue that we do have is who plays at left-back then? There's this whole kind of, do you want to get balance at centre-back or do you want to get balance at full-back? And what's more important? Now, one of the most important issues, and Ten Hag did mention it in his press conference today as well, was around Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Because we have seen if Luke Shaw plays centre-back, tends to be Diogo Dalot that switches onto the left-hand side. Ten Hag was asked about Aaron Wan-Bissaka today and he said he was training, but then he dropped out. So I don't know in this moment where he is and what is the diagnosis. Hopefully he's not too bad. It doesn't look good for Aaron Wan-Bissaka to be available for the weekend. That's all I'll say. So we come back to this whole scenario and debate on whether do you unbalance that whole left-hand side. And I think what we do have to take into strong consideration here as well is how good Marcus Rashford plays when Luke Shaw plays behind him. They've got a really good chemistry and connection there between the two of them, and I've said it on multiple occasions that I think the reason why maybe Marcus Rashford hasn't, and it's probably only one reason, I'm sure there's more, obviously he has to look after his own performances, but I think part of that has to do with Luke Shaw being missing and being out injured for large parts of this season as well. Luke Shaw's been back 2 or 3 games now. Rashford has been playing well the last 2 or 3 games. So do you unbalance that whole left-hand side by moving Luke Shaw into centre-back, or do we keep the balance out wide, and change as little as possible? If you move Luke Shaw into centre-back, in my opinion, you're making 3 changes. You're going to move Diogo Dalot to left-back. That's 1 change. You're going to move Luke Shaw into centre-back. That's 2 changes. And you're going to bring on a right-back, which is, Wan-Bissaka or whoever it may be. So that's 3 changes. I suppose, personal opinion, I think all we should do with Martinez out, leave everyone else the same and just bring in another centre-back, whether it be Harry Maguire or not. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Let's see who we got. Reese is there. Ben is in. Niall is in as well. Good to see you guys. Danny is in. He says every game at the moment is a must-win for United, especially these games against the top teams. If we play like we did against Wolves and West Ham, we can beat Villa. They're struggling at the moment. Ben says, I wouldn't play Luke Shaw there. He is good at centre-back, but I believe we'd miss him too much at left-back when playing with Rashford. Reece says, I agree with Danny, but we had Martinez and he let us play 5 or 10 yards higher. I'm a bit scared. What are the chances of Villa lose 3 times in a row at home? And Danny says, I'm not a big fan of Harry Maguire, but I wouldn't play Luke Shaw as centre-back. He's not a centre-back, so I'd play Harry Maguire alongside Varane. Let's see what people on TikTok are saying here as well. Ken says, Luke Shaw wouldn't be playing centre-back if we had a proper centre-half partnership. Well, we do have a proper centre-half partnership. It's just one of them is injured at the moment. Disagree. He has to perform. He has to perform without Shaw. Has plenty of talent and needs to believe in himself. No, Desi, I agree with you 100%. I was just saying it's probably one of the reasons why Rashford's performances this season are not as good as maybe they were last season. And you know, we've seen that so many times down through the years. You know, I remember even going back as far as the 99 Champions League final when, you know, you had a balance. You had Irwin and Giggs on one side and then you had Neville and Beckham on the other side. And for that game, Giggs was playing on the right, Blankus was playing on the left and Beckham was playing in the middle of the park, and it just totally unbalanced everything. So maybe there's a little bit of that. I'm not saying that's the whole reason why, you know, Rashford is underperforming this season, because there's a wide variety of reasons. He does need to up his game himself. Absolutely he does. Finn says, I don't think Harry is as big a risk as earlier on in the season. I know what you mean there, Finn. Absolutely. The one concern I have with Harry Maguire is, you know, he came on and played against West Ham when obviously we were taking off Varane. I think, you know, 3 games in 7 days for Varane just wasn't, you know, and rightly so. I think Ten Hag made the right decision not to start him. However, Harry Maguire gets caught twice. Once the Emerson nicks the ball away from him because he's too slow to pass the ball out, and the other time the one ball in over the top, he just gets caught flat-footed underneath it, and only for poor finishing they would have scored 2 very easy goals there. So that is my concern about Harry Maguire. I do think he has improved, absolutely, but he's not the same rock solid kind of, you know, we fear an awful lot less when Martinez is in the team, and I think that's, you know, obvious. I don't need to tell you guys that. Let's see. So yeah, look, me personally, I would leave Luke Shaw at left back and I would bring in Harry Maguire. I know I've kind of maybe contradicted myself a little bit there, but I do think it's important to keep as much balance in the team as possible, and just making one straight swap, Martinez for Maguire, I think is the right thing to do, rather than Shaw for Martinez, Delort for Shaw, Wan-Bissaka for Delort. You're just completely unbalanced in everything, and we've been saying it over the past couple of weeks. Now that we're getting the top players back, we want to play a consistent 11 as much as possible between now and the end of the season, and get the camaraderie and get players playing with each other again, and so on and so forth. But yeah, what we'll do is we'll do a poll on YouTube and see what you guys think. Who plays centre back? We go Shaw or we go Maguire? Get your votes in on YouTube, guys, in the poll. But yeah, I want to move it on slightly while people are voting on that. And I want to talk about the game in general. And obviously, you know, tough opposition we're coming up against in relation to Villa. But the one kind of positive that we have going into this game is that United have got a week. They've got a week of preparation for this game. Whereas we know Aston Villa played last night and lost last night against Chelsea in obviously a high-octane game. You know, and, you know, Villa did go strong in that game as well. So I think that's a big positive for Manchester United going into this game on the weekend, that, you know, we've got fresh legs. And, it's going to be the case between now and the end of the season, bar obviously the FA Cup games. We're going to be playing a game a week, pretty much. Obviously, we're not in Europe, gone out of the Carabao Cup. And it's a big, big change to what we seen last year, where we were playing every 3 days. And there was no time for Manchester United to actually get onto the training ground and do a bit of training and coaching. It was literally game, recover, train, game, recover, train, game, recover, train. And there was no time to, to put in some real hours on the training ground and get some, I suppose, style. Well, not style, because that's the wrong word, because obviously you can get that in games as well. But obviously Eric Ten Hag is trying to get a game plan across. He wants us to play a certain way. You need to get minutes on the training ground, and I think that will be beneficial to us this season. I really do. The fact that we don't have European games, we're not playing every 3 days, we're going to be playing one game a week, I think will be a big, big plus for Manchester United going forward. And I think, going into this game on the weekend, we've got a team who has played now. They will have basically played 3 games in 7 days as well by the time Sunday rolls around. So big positive for Manchester United, and a big plus, and one that we should hopefully take advantage of. When you're getting players in your team, the likes of Varane, the likes of Casemiro, these older players, you would say, that are 30 and above, it's a massive plus that these guys get 7 days rest in between games. They can have a day on the massage table, on a Tuesday, right? Get back in Wednesday, then we'll start preparing for the game on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it may be. And this is when you've got, the bulk of your main players. Well, I won't say the bulk, but, some really heavy hitters in your team are the wrong side of 30. It's great that you've got a game a week, because that will prolong their, I won't say their career, but it would prolong their season. We've seen, obviously players getting injured. Varane is a big one for us. And I think he, more than anybody else, will benefit from a game a week. I really do think so. Let's see. Niall says, I think Johnny Evans is as mobile as Maguire, and think Evans is a better ball player. I don't disagree with you, Niall. And you know what? It skipped my mind about Johnny Evans, to be quite honest with you. If he is in the starting 11 on Sunday when the team is announced, I will not be disappointed at all. I really won't. Niall says, always thought going into that Wolves game that we had to pick up 15 points between that game and when we play City to have a chance of catching Spurs. Win Sunday is a must-win. Shaw at left back. Yeah, I agree. And, we spoke about it as well, Niall, the importance of that run of fixtures, because on paper they were, these 3 fixtures were difficult. Wolves is difficult, West Ham is difficult, and Aston Villa is difficult. Now, we should have got the job done a lot easier against Wolves. We strolled through West Ham. So let's see how we get on against Aston Villa, because like I said, in terms of this race for, top 4, top 5, whatever it may be, these are the games that, when you're in a whether it be a title race, whether it be, a race for top 4, relegation battles, whatever it may be, I think the games that you play against the teams around you, more importantly, I think it's more important not to lose. If Alex Ferguson famously said, win your home games, draw your away games, you'll be in the mix, and I think he's right. Now, we're playing away from home. Would you take a draw on Sunday? I hate always kind of nearly throwing up, it feels like throwing up the white flag, but would you take a draw on Sunday if it was offered to you now? Probably. I probably would. Manchester United go into, a run of games after that then where, obviously we've got Luton Town. You would be expecting us to win that. Fulham, you would be expecting us to win that. And then we've got Manchester City. So a draw from Aston Villa and 2 wins then against Luton and Fulham, I would take that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're talking, 12 points from a possible 15 games, or from 15 points there, would be a really, really good return. I would be happy with that. Obviously, then we've got Manchester City. You go into games then like Everton, Sheffield United, Brentford. that as kind of games you should be picking up points. Bit of a tough spell then. Chelsea, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Newcastle straight away then after that. So it's kind of, you're going through phases of games where you should be picking up points, and then you can understand maybe if we don't pick up an awful lot of points, playing against the likes of City or Liverpool, whoever it may be, because we have to be realistic as well. You always want to go out and beat these teams, but it's not always possible given, how good these teams are as well. Danny says, I can't see Villa finishing in the top 4. They're starting to fall apart. Last night was proof of that. We can't beat them. If we can't beat them on Sunday, let's hope we can continue to perform. Kieran says, Jack, what's your score prediction for the Villa game? I'll get to that at the end, Kieran. Stick with us. I'll give you my score prediction. Please smash a like on the video as well, by the way, guys. If you haven't already done so, it helps out the channel so much. You have no idea how much it helps. So if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't hit the thumbs up button already, please do. It only takes a second. It's free to do, and it helps us out an awful lot. And like I said, do hit subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. From top to bottom, we're getting our backbone back, says George. I agree. I think performances have been an awful lot better, George, and long may it continue. Erik ten Hag did say weeks ago that, let's judge us when we get a full selection of players back, and that looks to be the case. Now, in relation to tomorrow, they're talking about, obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a doubt. Mason Mount and Malacia are not ready to return to the squad either. So whatever's going on there, I think is... Mason Mount specifically is quite concerning. I think if we had the likes of a Malacia available, maybe not in a game against Aston Villa, but if you're going into games like, if you're going into games like Luton, Fulham, maybe Everton, Sheffield United, these kind of games, you can most certainly play Malacia at left back and then move Luke Shaw into centre back if you need to. You know what I mean? It's not a big of a change as it would be rotating the whole back 4. But Aston Villa, guys, coming into the game as well, I mean, they're not going to be any pushovers. They're very hot and cold at the moment. That's the one thing I would say about them. If we look at their results in the Premier League in the last few weeks, obviously they beat Sheffield United, but everybody beats them. They lost 3-1 to Newcastle at home. 0-0 with Everton away. They barely beat Burnley 3-2. Obviously, we beat them 3-2. They drew 1-1 with Sheffield United. Barely bet Brentford 2-1. So they are picking up points and they're putting points on the board. But these guys can be got at. They really can. They really can, and I hope we do, have a real go and try and put them to the sword. And if the last 2 games are at to go by and we continue to play like that, then I do go into the game with confidence. I really, really do. Right, guys, I'm going to get into predicted 11s. Let me know your predicted 11s in the comment section below as well, and we'll go through. We'll get the pitch up on the screen here. I don't see an awful lot of changes being made, to be quite honest with you. We'll put the players up here, and this is the starting 11 that I'm going to go with. Obviously, Onana remains in goal. The only change that I would make is bringing in Harry Maguire for Lisandro Martinez. Like I said previously, I would rather Maguire come in, or Johnny Evans, like Niall mentioned in the chat there as well. I'd have no problem if it was Evans, but I think making one direct change is what's going to, unbalance us the least, which is important, and especially given, I suppose, how fragile United are this season in terms of performances and consistency levels. I think the smart thing to do is to make as little changes as possible. So that's why I've gone with Maguire, with Varane, Luke Shaw, of course, and Delot as our 2 fullbacks. Midfield 3 then, I think this is going to pretty much be our midfield 3 for the remainder of the year, bar, please God, touch wood, no injuries. But Casemiro, Menu, and Bruno Fernandes. I've been quite impressed with Casemiro, I have to say. I think over the last couple of weeks since he's come back, he's looked good, he's looked sharp, and he's exactly what we need in that middle of the park. And not only about maybe having a defensive midfielder, but actually allowing Kobbie Mainoo to step further up the field, I think has been something that's been really, really I suppose, beneficial to us going forward. We've seen the goal, obviously, he scored in the FA Cup, and then the goal against Wolves. He's playing further up the field, and having Casemiro back is allowing him to do that. So long may that continue. And of course, Bruno Fernandes there as well. Look, Bruno's the captain. Performances with Bruno, while they're still at a high level, they haven't been up there, with the likes of goals and assists that we're used to seeing him. Let's have a look at his stats here and see. He's got 3 goals and 5 assists this season. I mean, very low in terms of Bruno Fernandes standards. He had 8 goals and 8 assists last year. Again, he's probably playing a different role. Well, he is absolutely playing a different role under Erik ten Hag. Year before was 10 goals, 6 assists, and then 2021 was 18 goals and 12 assists as well. He does have 2 goals in the Champions League and 2 assists as well. So yeah, but look, I mean, Bruno Fernandes gets a lot of unnecessary stick, in my opinion. I think the job he does and the work rate and the effort that he puts in is second to none. So he's going to be, you'll never see me. Well, at the moment, I won't ever be talking about Bruno Fernandes being dropped. At the moment, Varane in for Martinez, says Gia Neil. Varane is probably going to be in anyway. I reckon it's going to be Varane and Maguire. George says Manu first on the team sheet for me, absolutely. And Colin says, well, bro, I watched the live where Liverpool and Chelsea played in the FA Cup final. There we go. And then the forward line, guys, to finish up the starting 11. Forward line remains unchanged as well for me. Garnacho on the right, Rashford on the left, Highland up top. This forward line picks itself between now and the end of the season as well. Anthony shouldn't get a sniff, and basically there's no one else really to come in, so that's going. I do worry a little bit if one of these 3 are to pick up an injury. Obviously we've got, Anthony Fraud Martial on the treatment table again for the next 10 weeks after getting surgery. And it's pretty, obviously we know it's pretty obvious that he's just looking to get to the end of the season so he can get out on a free. Outside of that, I mean, Pellistri is gone. Obviously, well, we do have Ahmad, I suppose, a little bit inexperienced. So, yeah, you would be hoping we can keep them 3 boys fit between now and the end of the season. But I think, look, that's the starting 11 that I go with. I don't think there's going to be too many changes. But like I said, what you've been saying there now, if there is a couple of changes, then all well and good. If I'm going with a score prediction, guys, score predictions for Manchester United this season have proved quite difficult. It has to be said. Now, if we're looking at the game on the weekend and who's actually favourites to win the game when we're talking about with the bookies, let's have a look here and see. The bookies are saying that Aston Villa are the favourites. So Aston Villa are 23-20, so they're just above even money. And United are 21-10, so just over 2-1 to win. I'm going to back Manchester United in this one. I think given how we've been playing over the last 2 or 3 games, in comparison to how Aston Villa have been playing, I think United just edge it. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win. Smash and grab. And I reckon the goal is going to come from Marcus Rashford. Let me know your score predictions in the chat, guys. And we'll go down through them. George is going 2-1 to United. Michael is saying 3-0 to United. And Danny is saying 2-1 to United as well. So, we do have to be a little bit realistic here as well. And I think I would love for United to run away with it. I really would. But I don't think realistically we are going to do that. So 1-0 to Manchester United is my score prediction. But I will take, like some of you guys are saying, I'll take a 2 or 3-0 win, absolutely. What do you make of Van Persie returning to Carrington? Will he eventually come back? Well, that depends on how good he is, Martin. I would never take a former player back on his name alone. He has to be good enough, and if he wants to come back in as an underage coach, I'm sure there would be a role there for him at United. But if he wants to do that and make a name for himself, then all well and good. I do think you have to be quite smart in terms of who you bring back in terms of coaches. Wayne Rooney is a prime example. You know what I mean? I know he's a manager, maybe not a coach, but yeah, Exhibit A. Do want to talk just a little bit, guys, before we finish up about some of the United news today. I do want to start a little bit, or I do want to start first and foremost on Kobbie Mainoo. And Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about him today, and he says Manchester United have already prepared a new contract proposal for Kobbie Mainoo. Initial discussions have already taken place with his camp to advance talks. United want Mainoo to be a crucial part of the project, with a salary rise also included. And rightly so. I think this is the most straightforward offer of a contract at all possible. Whatever the kid wants, just take that pen and go, what do you want, Kobbie? Sorry, say that again? You want 100 grand a week? Sign on the dotted line there. Yes, sir. There we go. 8-year contract. That's the way to do it. Just get it done and dusted. And I think if we can do that, brilliant. You're getting a good young player in on a long-term deal. And a player with the I suppose ability of Kobbie Mainoo. We seen that picture, of course, on the weekend. Mainoo, Garnacho, Hyland. Hyland is brand new. Garnacho is after signing a new deal last year. Kobbie Mainoo is next, and build the team around those three players because they are the future of Manchester United. They really are. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I want to mention it. It's after popping into my head because Kobbie Mainoo is in the advertisement. If anybody hasn't seen the video on YouTube yet that Manchester United put out today with their collaboration with the Stone Roses about the new Stone Roses clobber, it is absolutely unbelievable. It's an unbelievable video. The Stone Roses, this is the one is playing in the background. Gary Neville is in it. Garnacho is in it. Kobbie Mainoo is in it. Rashford is in it. Johnny Evans is in it. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of the best pieces of content United have had, I think, since the Roy Keane. Well, that was only a couple of months ago as well. It's just something about United, Stone Roses, and Adidas that it's just perfect. The Stone Roses collaboration with all the new United gear is brilliant. I won't lie, I spent €280 today on it. I couldn't resist. I just couldn't resist. But yeah, go check it out on YouTube once you're finished here if you haven't already done so. And I came away from watching that video today with a real sense of excitement. And I don't know what it is about the video. It's the fact that the Stone Roses, the 90s, the music, the retro gear that they've got on, and something just sparked with me. And I just have this feeling. I have this feeling that good times are not that far away from Manchester United. I just have this feeling. I really do. I don't think we're a million miles away. New ownership coming in. Young players coming through the academy again that are actually quality. We're getting rid of the fucking bullshit players. We're looking to build a new stadium. There's something there. Something is happening, underneath that, in the foundations of Manchester United. And I think I just have this feeling that good times are not too far away. And I can't wait. I think we'll leave it on that, guys. Short one, but a great little way to end. Thanks for watching, guys. Please smash a like on the video if you haven't already done so. 14 people watching, only 7 likes. So there's 7 of you that haven't smashed that like button. Please do before we finish. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. Anybody watching on TikTok, we go live on YouTube every night as well. We're live here as well. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The button for YouTube is on my homepage. You'll see it there. Click the button, hit subscribe. You don't even have to leave TikTok to do it. It helps us out. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, as you can see up here, and our goal is to hit 10,000 by the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you get on it. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the news show before 10:30, so make sure you're sticking around. If you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit the bell notification, click the bell and hit all. So anytime we upload our new morning news, we do it pretty much every morning, you'll get a notification that the new video is up and you can go watch it, give it a like and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great evening and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.